This is going to be a little bit shorter of a video than normal because the topic is not exactly, it's not one that lends to huge amounts of conversation, but it is one I find interesting, which is GTA 6. Now, in the past, I have been a little bit negative about this series, not because I think it's a bad series, but because a lot of things have frustrated me, which I will get into here. But GTA 6 has been delayed to May of 2026. And a lot of people are upset. I have noticed talk online kind of be, "Aw man, that sucks. I wish it was coming out now. I was really excited for this game," ranging all the way to skepticism as to why it was delayed. And I kind of wanted to take a look at the potential reasons today. Now, do I have a foot in the door at Rockstar? No. But in general, there's one big positive to this. I think maybe two, and a potential negative that I wanted to take a look at. The positives are, first off, this does free up 2025 for people's backlogs if they have games they want to play, and it also does kind of free up these smaller developers who were worried about the ambiguous GTA 6 launch window, because what we saw with Oblivion Remastered, actually, which I talked about over on my other channel, JayRPG, where I cover role-playing games. I have the link to my other channels in the description, but what we saw too with that was the sort of shadow drop, the ambiguous drop around that, actually affected a lot of other video game developers who were making smaller games at the time. With the economy being the way it is, not just in America, but in the world, a lot of people don't have tons and tons of money to drop on video games. I mean, it's a hobby, it's a luxury, right? It's not a necessity. So when it comes down to it, when you have a huge game like this, it does actually take away eyes from other games that might actually be really good, but they might not have the marketing push and budget of a Rockstar game. Another positive for this, by the way, is the fact that this does give them more time to, as the kids say, cook. It gives them more time to actually put together a competent product. But a big potential negative for this is that this could have to do with the potential pricing restructure of the video game industry, looking at Nintendo, Microsoft, and others. So we're going to talk about this today for a few more minutes, but I do have a question of the day for you, which is, in general, what are your thoughts about this delay? Do you think this is a good thing, or do you think this could potentially be a bad thing? I'm interested to hear that down below. And also, if you do like this content, I do plan to do some more GTA stuff. I actually do have some positive videos lined up on some of the Rockstar games on here, but also I've been playing through GTA Online with my friends over on Degenerate Plays. That's a channel that has not gotten a lot of attention that I really am trying to grow. It is a podcast style Let's Play channel where we play through games, hang out together and talk. So the link to that will be in the description down below, and I'll have some other stuff to tell you about near the end of the video. But here's the thing with this. Like I said, I do think this is a positive for smaller developers. That right there, it's an easy one. We wrapped it up in the intro. No need to talk much more about it other than to say, now that there is a concrete date, other developers can say, hey, you know what? I am not self-sabotaging. I'm just going to avoid May of 2026, okay? I just am not going to release my game in May of 2026. I'm going to release it in like April, or I'm going to release it in March or after May, whatever, you know? And that's a good thing for them. So first off, on the video game development side, great for them. But also, a positive for this for me, as someone who's a game preservationist, is I've been playing through GTA 5's single player again, and I've really been enjoying it. And there's a point to this tangent. I've been loving the deep world, I've been loving the story, and I recently finished it. I've got some more side stuff to do as well. And then going into GTA Online for my Let's Play, I've also enjoyed it, but it's brought up some frustrations for me where I've kind of been, you know, thinking back to things like, you know, that Stephen Ogg and some of these other people, you know, Ned Luke, like some of the voice actors from GTA 5 brought up points about how there were planned single player expansions for that game, for the single player story, that ended up getting axed and kind of reworked in bits and pieces and chopped up and put into GTA Online, or just not used at all. Which, as someone who loves both types of games, but I really enjoy single player type stuff and these worlds I can play whenever I want with no FOMO, nothing like that, that's something that disappointed me, right? And so kind of looking at that, that's been one of the main reasons why I've been frustrated with this brand for so long, is I feel Rockstar has kind of turned into the Red Dead and GTA company. They've dropped single-player expansions, gotten rid of them basically in this last generation or two. They've dropped Bully and their other games, and they've really just focused on these two franchises. Now that said, this right here, this delay, does play into that. Because I truly have unless there is a huge industry shift towards a niche market, I have a big hunch this is going to be the last on-disc GTA game. It's going to be the last game preserved in that way. Because the industry is moving away from physical. We see the Nintendo Switch 2 moving away from physical even more with their game key cards. We see Microsoft with Xbox barely selling any physical games in store anymore. Like, the industry is changing, and while I disagree with it, and I think people will regret it in the future when they don't have as many options, the consumers are speaking in that way that they don't want as many options, and so they're buying things in just that way. And with how long it takes between releases, unless there's some kind of limited run or something like that type thing, this is probably going to be the last on-disc GTA game in terms of a new one. And so for me, an extra year right there means more time for them to bake in whatever things they would have needed to have dropped for day one updates. More time to bake in content, more time to bake in fixes to the disc release and the 1.0 digital release even of this game. And I think that's a good thing. However, when we are looking at this, there is also a big potential drawback, which is the fact that video game pricing is being restructured. Now, this is something I also wanted to talk about in a video. I haven't really had time to, and I'm sure everybody else has already covered it, but Microsoft released a restructuring statement, kind of vaguely blaming the tariffs and stuff like that in the United States for increasing the Xbox Series X price, by $100, by the way, increasing their game prices for a lot of games by $10 to like 80 USD at launch for a lot of them. Now, for me, I have a ton of video games. I'm not really upset by this because, like, I don't really feel, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm old, like I'm getting older, like I'm turning 31 this year, but I don't constantly feel like I need more games. You know, like I've been moving more towards collecting retro. So for me, I see this and I just think, oh, okay, well, that'll just make me buy fewer new games. Okay, well, I guess if that's what you want, mission accomplished for me. But when I'm looking at that kind of thing, and there's been murmurs of GTA 6 being $100 for the last year, I don't even know where that rumor started, but it is one that gained a ton of traction. I'm looking at Microsoft changing their pricing structure and increasing games by 10 USD and their console by 100 USD, which, small tangent, is kind of hilarious to me because I like my Xbox Series X, but if you know anything about computer and console components, the older they get, the more outdated they are and the less valuable they should technically be, unless it's aftermarket to fix your console a decade later. So this stuff should technically be diminishing in value. But because they have that market hold, they can say, no, it's not going to diminish, it's going to increase in value, and if you don't want to buy it, too bad. And so I'm seeing that, and I'm seeing Nintendo doing the same thing, with some games increasing by $10 to $20 US dollar increments for the Nintendo Switch 2 generation. And I'm wondering, and I've seen a lot of people point this out, even in my comments, they were saying, hey, conspiracy theory time, what if they're waiting to see how this lands? You know, what if they're waiting to see, hey, can we charge an extra $10, $20, $30 at launch for these games? Because we're GTA, you know, we're one of the biggest franchises out there. And it's true, especially in console gaming. One of the biggest franchises out there is GTA. And, you know, there's all this hype around our game. Even when we release one like 15 years later, there's still all this hype around our game. Like, we're untouchable in a way. Which is a dangerous position to put anybody in business, is to put them in such a successful position that they feel untouchable, they feel invulnerable, and they feel like they can do anything. And I would argue Rockstar's been in that position for a long time. You know, GTA Online prints cash through these shark cards. It is a point of frustration I have harped on ad nauseum, so I don't need to go into it too much here. but it is definitely one of the reasons why we don't see much single-player content anymore post-launch with any of their games. It's almost like the launch of single-player is used as a stepping stone to then get people into the multiplayer component of the game. It didn't work with Red Dead Online, and it would have cost too much money to revamp it, so they basically ditched that. But even there, it seemed like that was the goal, was release Red Dead Redemption 2, get people into Red Dead Online, but then when it was going to cost a lot of money to rework, and they were already printing it with GTA Online, it wasn't worth doing. So they just kind of went back to that. But I'm looking at this and I'm seeing, they have that market hold, and they have people kind of like in a throat hold, like in a chokehold, I should say, where people are just excited no matter what. And hey, I like GTA. I've loved the single players. I enjoy the online. Like I said, go to Degenerate Plays, check it out. I would love to see you there. I've been having a fun time with it, but I also think it's a dangerous position to put a developer or anyone in any industry in, make them feel like they can do whatever they want. And I do worry with the hype around this game, like a lot of people who commented worry, that there could be a waiting and feeling out the room type of thing going on here to see if we sit on this for a little bit, hype is not going to go down. Sales are not going to decrease. Then we release another trailer strategically in the meantime somewhere. Obviously, that worked out very well for them. And then we drop the game, in May of 2026, and maybe by then we can charge $80 for it or $90. That's a potential bad thing that could come from this. Now, that's just speculation. But look at the market. The market is changing, and it's changing quickly. We're moving away from physical, like I said. We're moving more towards digital. We're moving more towards higher prices. We're moving more towards that with multiple publishers, multiple console systems out of the 3 console families that people look to, nowadays, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. Basically what you have is 2 of those 3 already committed to higher prices. And so now you have a game pushed back a year. What's that market going to look at like in a year? Now, maybe that falls through. Maybe video game sales tank. People say, hey, this is not worth $80 to me. And anybody can point out well, why is this worth this amount to you? Why is this worth this amount to you? Which you see people do online. And it's like, sure, maybe hour for hour, it's a good value. But to me, it's not worth $80. And maybe that crashes and these games don't sell as well. And then, Rockstar knows, okay, well, we can't do that. But on the other hand, maybe it does extremely well. Maybe this doesn't impact game sales like at all. There's very few people like me who are cheapskates who don't want to pay that. It's a joke. If you don't want to pay that, I get it. I don't either. And maybe it does really well and the consumers do what they always do, consume. And then this just, reaffirms to Rockstar that they can charge more. That's a negative. I don't know. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Hopefully all that is like doomsday type predictions that don't come to pass, but we don't know. So let me know what you think down below. I did have one thing I wanted to shout out. I know I've said Degenerate Plays a few times. You check that out. I appreciate it. We have a Fortnite code, which is DJAY123. Every month that goes to help support our channel. So thank you very much. A lot of my videos have not been getting pushed on here. So if you want to check those out, that means the world to me. And finally, we do have our own store, CosmoBunny.shop, which is having a special sale, which goes for a few more days. 15% off your entire purchase of coasters, keychains, trays, and more, made from recycled comic book, manga, magazine, and more paper. This is from books that were damaged. They were unable to be sold by stores. So we take these books sometimes at dirt cheap prices, sometimes just for free. And what we do is we retake that stuff, we transform it into a new medium of art for your home, and then we actually recycle the rest of it. So there is a code down below, which, or I should say a URL, a link, which you can take that will link you directly to the website, and it will auto apply that discount to you. If you don't take that link, you have to put in code SALE, which is SALE, but I would say just take the link, because if you're lazy like me, it's an easier way to do it. But I hope you have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shway.